Hello, Steve. Today's Monday, April the 28th. And today was a heartbreaking day for me in sports. For starters, the San Jose Sharks have officially allowed the 3-0 lead to evaporate, and it's now a 3-3 tie heading into Game 7. So even if they're able to survive Game 7, it's going to make them incredibly fragile moving forward. Pretty soon the team might just be turned into sushi. And in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks lost a heartbreaking game against the San Antonio Spurs, and that series is now tied 2-2. And that's really bad for Dallas because they had a really good shot at going up 3-1, and you know going back 2-2 to San Antonio is not going to result in a win in the series. But at least with the Mavericks and unlike the Sharks, you can hold your head high that the team is doing incredibly well considering the circumstances. I can certainly say that I'm really proud of the way this team has played throughout the first 4 games of this series. In your last video, you talked about how my Monday win of Roll the Rim may have been the latest win ever. So I decided to look into things and find out if that would actually be true. And I came to the conclusion that it certainly would not be the case. And that's because it's for sure beaten by April the 27th. Because April 27th is the day that I won my second free coffee of the year. So that gives me 2 roll-ups to cash in, a true double-double. Or should I say a double-double-double. In your last video, you shared a lot of the artifacts that you had, which is just a great excuse for me to share some artifacts of my own. If you remember from one of my previous videos, I talked about my lengthy and giant teaching portfolio, with the thickness of this guy. So today I'll give you a brief virtual tour of what's in there. Of course, everything gets started off with a table of contents. One of the things I include in my portfolio is a spiffy, colorful version of my resume. Ordinary resumes ain't got nothing on this. There's also lots of colorful and well typed up pages like this, which explain some of my knowledge. For example, this one talks about techniques of assessment and evaluation. And because the portfolio is to be used for interviews, I made sure to make it visual appealing and pop out, because most of the content won't actually be read during an interview. Here's another colorful example. And another one over here on a page that talks about multiple intelligences. And this one over here about differentiated instruction, which basically means you shouldn't teach the same way every day and try to use a variety of methods. The reason for this strategy being that not all students learn in the same way, so we shouldn't approach things in the same way every time. Otherwise, we increase the risk of not reaching a student. Also, this particular page compares differentiated instruction to Pokemon cards, so I feel like you'd appreciate it. The middle part of my portfolio contains artifacts from actual classroom teaching. This is a lesson plan. And on the back, probably one of the most boring parts of teacher's college. And that's because we have to write very detailed layouts of how our lesson would go down. And our lesson plan templates contain more information than was really needed to be planned. This section also contains actual examples of tests that I've created. Here's one I made for physics. And finally, the last third of my teaching portfolio tends to be the most fun. It's sort of a collection of cool artifacts from things outside of the teaching world. Here's some of the fun things you can find in there. My award from the staff banquet for my first summer working at camp for the best dressed, as well as my award for the best impersonation of a fellow staff member, also from the same banquet. And finally, to round out my trilogy of camp awards, the Snapshot Award from last summer's staff banquet. In there is also the racing bib from the half marathon I did a couple of years ago. My award for the participation in the high school all-star band, as well as certificates for participating in the Bachelor of Education band and the Bachelor of Education choir. Also, some actual examples of student feedback given to me when working as a TA. And that concludes the virtual tour of my teaching portfolio. Some of the things I'd like to do over the summer is update some of the stuff I currently have in there and put in some stuff for my current work position. But that's for later. Let's talk about the current challenges. Completed another 2.5 miles today, bringing my total up to 52.5. And finally, once again, more Battleship. Your previous shot was your 5th consecutive hit. My next shot is A5. So until the next time, I look forward to cashing in my double-double-double.